Welcome back to Arabic Fashion and Style. So in today's DIY class, we're going to be learning how to make these beautiful waist pockets that we're seeing. We're going to learn how to make this with the simplest method, which is very straightforward and beginner friendly. If this is something you would like to learn, kindly stay tuned till the end of this tutorial. Thank you. Okay, so I'm working with a satin fabric. Okay, it's not a soft fabric, it's a bridal satin. It's a shiny face bridal satin, so it's a bit strong. So I'm not going to be adding interfacing to this, but if your fabric is not so strong, you can just add a gum stay or hair stay to it so that you can strengthen the fabric, because you want it to be looking really sharp, especially on the open part. So I'm just going to go ahead and work with this fabric directly. So for the length of this fabric, I have 10.5 inches. This is totally up to you depending on how big you want your pocket to be. And then for the width, I have about 8.25 inches. Okay, so the opening of my pocket is actually 6 inches, so you just need to add allowances on both sides. So 8 inches is fine for me. So what I'm going to do now, on the upper part of the length, I'm just going to mark like 1.5 inches, and then I'm going to roll it down. So I'm just bringing my ruler and I'm just going to eyeball it. Okay, so this is 1.5 inches. You need this allowance. You can also use 1 inch. So after that, the next thing now is to get the midpoint of this so that I can create my sleeve opening, which is 6 inches. So the midpoint of this is gotten by just folding my tape rule over, and then once I have it, I'm going to place it on 3 inches. So I'll mark 3 inches to this side, and then I'll mark another 3 inches to this side, which makes it 6 inches that I'm working with. So this is going to be the opening of my sleeve. So now the next thing now is to make sure the open part, okay, that's the part that is shown on the welt pocket. So how wide you want it to be? I don't want mine to be too wide, so I'm going to be using like 1/2 inch, or the next bar that I have after 1/2 inch, which is this. So now from this part, I'm just going to mark that on this 6 inches line. So here I'm going to place it and then mark that point here. Okay, so I said I want it to be on 1/2 inch, and then the next bar there. So I'm marking that here, and then here I'm going to place it on that point as well, and then mark it. Then with my ruler, I'm going to connect it together. So that is the opening of my sleeve. So I'm just going to make that into a rectangle. I'm going to connect it to the 6 inches opening that I have here, and then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So now this is the opening of my welt pocket. Okay, so all this marking is done on the wrong side of my fabric. This is the right side. So now after doing this, I'm just going to bring in the dress that I want to place this welt pocket on. Then after bringing in the dress, I'm going to place the pocket just like this. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is to, I have already marked out the place that I'm placing my pocket. It's going to be slanted like this. So I'm going to mark out that place. After marking out, what I'm going to do now is to make sure that I try to get the midpoint of this. Okay, so that's the middle of these two lines. I want it to be, I want this line to sit at the midpoint of these two lines. So what I'm trying to do now is to just fold it over. Okay, so if I can fold this over, I'll get the midpoint, and then I'm just going to lay it on this side. Okay, so after laying it on this side, I'm going to lay it over like that. So just try as much as possible to do a good job. So I'm checking again to see that it have not passed the line that I want, and I think I like what I have now. So after placing it, I'm just going to pin it down. So after pinning it down, you take it to your sewing machine, and then you just sew on this four corner that you have, on this rectangle that you have. Then I'm going to bring it back for us to see how to open it up. So before I go, remember I placed it like this. So you don't want your pocket to be like this, because your hand is going to go like this. So you should remember all of this. So I'm going to be placing it because my hand is going to be coming like this. So that's why I just thought to show us that placement again. So I'm just going to find that midpoint again, and once I find it, I'm going to repin it so that my pocket is going to be placed like this. Okay, so I have sewn it round now. I hope you can see it. you just sew exactly on the rectangle shape that you have there. So to cut it out now, I'm just going to draw a line in the middle of the rectangle. Okay, so you can measure it out, but I'm just going to eyeball it. So I'm going to like divide it into two. Okay, so now after drawing this, you can see this is where the rectangle stop. So on this corner part, you're just going to draw like a diagonal line like this. Okay, that's how you're going to cut it. That's the line you're going to cut. So you leave like half an inch before you get to the final part here, and then you just draw your diagonal line. So to cut it out, I'm just going to raise my fabric up and then try to create an opening. So after creating my opening, I'm just going to insert the scissors and then just cut through the middle. And when I get here, I'm just going to cut into the corner, but make sure you don't cut your seam, just cut very close. And then on the other side, I'm going to repeat the same thing. So here on this side as well, I'm going to cut in the middle, and then when I get to this point, I'm going to cut into the corners. And then you do the same thing for the other side as well. Okay, you cut very close. So after cutting it, this is what we have. You can see now that our pocket is already open. So now I'm going to tuck in all of this into the other side. Okay, so you tuck it in neatly and then take it to the ironing table and iron it. So let me flip it to the right side, to the wrong side, so that we can see what we are doing very well. So what you are doing now is to tuck all of this in, make sure it is nice, and then you'll be able to see your four corner very well now. You can see it well now, and then I'm going to go ahead and iron it down. Okay, so I have gone ahead to iron this now. I can see now that our rectangle now is very obvious and it is looking neat. So this is what it looks like on the wrong side. Okay, I have ironed it on the wrong side as well. This is what I have. So now to create that covering that is going to cover the opening that we have here on our waist pocket, see this long side. Okay, this long side of the pocket, you're just going to fold it enough to cover this space. So you can see I'm folding it. It's just like taking a plate. So you're just going to fold it to cover. You don't need to fold it over. It's just enough to cover this space that we have here. Okay, so after folding it like this, I'm going to iron it down again, and then by the time you flip it, it must have covered up that space for you. So I'll just go ahead and iron down this plate that I created here, this folding that I did to cover this. Okay, you can see it's just like the half and a bar that we used to open it. That's what you are just folding again to cover it up. Okay, so now it is ironed now and covered. So by the time we flip it, you can see what we have. So you can see now that your pocket is covered. Okay, so the covering is there. So the last thing to do now is to go ahead and sew it down. Okay, so now you're just going to lift it up. That sharp corner that you have there, you just use it to hold it down on both sides. Then after holding it down on both sides on that part, you're going to measure what you have there left, so that you create the cover for the pocket. So now I'm just going to measure, and I have 9.5 inches in length, and I still have my 8.25 in inches. So I have used that to cut out my Ankara fabric. Okay, and that's what I'm going to use to cover the pocket. So now this right side of the Ankara fabric, you make sure you lay that on the satin, because this is the part that is going to show when you dip your hand in your pocket. So I'll just place it on it like this, and then go ahead and sew. So with this line that we created here, I'm just going to sew it like this all round. Okay, all round. I'm going to sew it all around, and then you can now trim off the excess, and your pocket is ready. So I'll just take it to the sewing machine now. I'm going to open it up. You can see this part, this angled part. Okay, that's the line that I'm going to follow to sew it all around. Okay, so I have sewn it round now. You can see. Okay, so you can see my seam line. It just goes over that angle that will have there. You just sew over it, and then you sew all round up to the upper part. So now all these rough edges, now you can just trim it off, and then you serge it. You just fold in your seam allowance and you sew on it. Just make sure it is neat. So I've gone ahead to do the same thing to the other pocket as well. Everything that I will did to this pocket, I did on the other pocket as well. So when we flip it to the right side now, this is what our pocket is looking like. You can see how neat this is looking, and then you just open it and then dip your hand inside. It is that simple. So you see why I said it is important for you to place it in the direction that your hand is going to go through, so that you can easily put whatever it is you want to put in your pocket easily. And you can see how simple it is to make this welt pocket. Okay, so this is our pocket. As you can see, you can now bring it out or put it in anyhow you want. And I decided to use both Ankara and my pattern and my plain fabric, because I want the plain fabric to be showing, the Ankara fabric to be showing inwards. You can just do it anyhow you want. And this is the other pocket as well. So you can see how simple it is to make this and how beautiful it looks. I hope you enjoyed making this beautiful tutorial with me. If you enjoyed this, let us know in the comment section. Like, comment and subscribe to our channel, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.